This is a short announcement. I just want to announce that my services are available, and if you want any magical service, message me through the means of contact provided in the description of this video. I will do my best to help you, and here are some client testimonials from back in the day as a proof of my sorceress validity. See you tomorrow, guys.
So in this video, I wanted to share my experience working with a ritual that was provided to me by Dimitri, who, if you don't know, has a channel called Son of Lilith. So firstly, I'd like to thank you and say thank you to Dimitri for showing me the way forward to what I need to do and giving me the tools to do so, and the spirits that he's worked with in order to bring forth this information to me. If you don't know, Dimitri actually channels his rights specifically for his clients to work with, and puts in a lot of work and effort to receive the instructions. Now, secondly, to give a little context to what I'm about to share, I'll start by giving background as to how I came to this point. So a long time ago, when I was first getting into working with demons and demonic magic, I had a dream in which I was visited by a spirit. There were two idols placed side by side, one after the other, and immediately I set the first one on fire, destroying it, and focused my energy on the second one. After which time the dreamscape was then destroyed and I was floating in a black abyss. I had no body, and it was mainly just an awareness that I had, and from out of the abyss a huge flaming sigil burst forward in fiery light. I only recognised this sigil after I woke up to be a Mon sigil, and since I was very, very young, I used to make daily offerings to the Egyptian godhead Amun-Ra. So I think this is why maybe Amon approached me in this way, as I suspect that Amon is Amun, or a face of Amun. Anyway, so I heard a deep voice say, not to me, but to my spiritual guides and higher self, we will get him working with the bull, and if he does not want to work with him, then we'll get Kimaris in to help. And if you don't know who Kimaris is, he is a spirit listed within the Goetia who was known to the Egyptians as Kepu or Kepri, which is the scarab-headed deity, so far as I've been made aware at least. Who is also excellent to work with to overcome subconscious fears and blockages, and he's very kind and has strong warrior energy. Now, at this time, I assumed by the bull they meant Hargenti, which is another deity that is typically depicted with the head of a bull, but it's become clear to me that I was mistaken. And following on for this, I pursued working with a lot of Asenath Mason's work, Clifothic work, and some work with Lilith, Lucifer, Hecate, and King Asmodeus at different times for personal transformation and changes within me, in the ways that I sort of needed for further work with the Clifoth, which was very difficult because it was intended to bring up a lot of things within me that I needed to face and overcome within myself. At a certain point in time, it became clear to me that I still needed to address some issues with my subconscious to take this work further, and so I started to work with Chimeras again, after which time, when our work was done, I was then led to Dimitri, which I now know from the dream was preparational work for working with Moloch, who is the bull-headed demonic chief. Now, I'm not going to share details of the ritual procedure itself because that's up to Dimitri as to whether he wants to share that, but I will share my first evocation experience with Chief Moloch and some things that I learnt, and what worked for me. So, firstly, prior to the ritual, I was given the idea to tie a cord 9 times. So when I was vibrating the hymn that I was given by Dimitri, I was able to count the number of times I'm speaking it without taking focus off the hymn itself and the intentions of it. So if you do work with Dimitri's rituals and they are lengthy in repetitions, I recommend that you do the same depending upon how many repetitions are suggested. Personally, I made an oil to dress a purple offertory candle to Moloch, which consisted of frankincense, benzoin, myrrh, and copal, which was just heat infused into grapeseed oil, and an incense blend of the same resins. That recipe isn't mine. I did a bit of research online to try and find what incense is the most appropriate, and that's the only result that I came back with on a forum, which was just an excerpt taken from a piece of text. Obviously, wine and blood was offered as well because that's sort of customary. Now, while this next part wasn't exactly necessary to the working itself, I felt that it would help me, so I personally wanted to attune my consciousness with Thormiel first. So I performed like a left-hand path variant of the Lesser Banishing ritual, performed an opening to the cliff off, and connected my consciousness to Thormiel, and drew down black fire into myself and my ritual space. Now, from the first repetition of the first line of the hymn, I felt Moloch's presence come, and as I continued, his presence grew stronger and stronger, basically. And by the final repetition, his energy was very strongly present. I will say, as well, his energy is not like any other I've experienced before. Normally when I experience the spirit's energy, I can sort of categorize it. But with Moloch's, it was vibrant and solar, but also dark and fire with enormous strength and weight behind it. So, some say he's solar, some say he's black sun, some say he's Saturnian, and what I personally experienced was all three. And from this, I can understand why he is chief. Now, although it felt like he knew why I had called him, I did explain my situation to him. And gave my commitment, and then proceeded to list off my requests, visualizing and experiencing the changes that I sought as I went through it, and projected that energy to him. Now, it was then confirmed to me that he accepted and he wanted to work with me, and after I was provided with a visual path working to Moloch to better align my subconscious with him. So if you don't know what a path working is, it's not what Dimitri offers in his service. It's more so just a term for like a way to, using your visualization, align your subconscious and conscious mind with connecting with a spirit. Whether that means that it's just for subconscious connection, or whether you are actually going to that place. You can do it for both, but either way, I feel it's okay to share here that particular path working. So in this vision, I saw myself come to a sandy desert with what looked like something in the distance, and as I moved forward, I came to a place where Moloch was sat on a throne. And this throne was basically huge, and beside him were beings and sphinxes, interestingly enough, and in front of him was a huge fire of black flame, at which point I then bowed to him. Now, I do intend to use that path working alongside the ritual that Dimitri has provided, and so I'll just sort of summarize it so that it's in a usable format, but it goes: you stand in a sandy hot desert, the sun beats down upon you from above. In the distance before you, a throne. You move towards the throne. Upon the throne, a giant man with the head of a bull towers over you. Either side are two sphinxes. In front of the throne, a raging black fire. Now, concluding that work, and even during it as well, the attunements that I received were very powerful. And look, I highly recommend Dimitri's services of path readings and the service to channel ritual for you, as it's very effective, I feel. And I feel particularly as well the hymns call to the spirit in a way which is most appropriate to the spirit and is appreciated in a lot of ways of making contact with spirits that you see. Some of them are appreciated and some of them aren't. Some spirits don't like ends and all that kind of stuff. The difference obviously between that, something like that, where you might find it in a book or, online or something like that, and what Dimitri is able to offer you is that his is channeled specifically, which means that it's in the way which is most appropriate. It's in the way which is most appreciated by the spirit because it's from the spirit. So, yeah, that was my experience, and I highly recommend if you are interested in learning about what spirits you should be working with to further on your development, your path, and you want to receive some rituals specifically for you to work with those spirits, then I highly recommend reaching out to Dimitri. So thank you, Dimitri, and thank you to everyone who's watching.
So I asked Demetrius to help me with a magical service to empower my psychic and astral abilities, because I felt I've hit a plateau of recently. Now, hours after, immediately, I received very good signs from my spirit guides, numerologically. My dreams that night and the nights after were extremely vivid, and I was able to remember small details in my dreams that I haven't been able to remember in the past. My end of my connection with my spirit guides is more open now. I'm able to feel them around me a lot more than I used to. The physical aspect of energy work is a lot more sensitive and sensual now, with astral exercises, meditating on my third eye, creating chi balls. The physical sensation is a lot more sensitive than it used to be, and I'm very happy with that. And not only that, but my empathetic ability has increased as well to communicate with spirits emotionally, reading people and situations emotionally just by walking into a room has increased a lot more naturally after. My tarot reading divinations are a lot more in depth, and my intuition is in tune a lot more. So I'm very happy with Demetrius's services. I highly recommend him. He's very flexible with scheduling rituals, and during the actual ritual itself, the energy was very potent and very powerful. So I highly recommend hiring Demetrius.
So this is a short testimonial of a guy to who I bound Succubus, and this is his experience. Enjoy.
Consultation. It was discovered, since I've been working with Queen Nama and Queen Lilith for a few years now, that I received a sexy succubus instead. Yet in saying that, it was actually a rare type succubus, so it's not vampiric by nature, but instead it was to help empower my physical body, to guard and protect me, and to help my past traumas, and to help unblock negative, toxic energies as that no longer served me, and to enhance my energy centers. So what I meant by that was, through my release of energies that no longer served me, my succubus would actually recycle that from me into her and use that to empower her energies, and it was almost like a magical link, if that makes sense. So her feeding off my energy, right, it helped to empower my physical body and help heal my past traumas. I noticed the changes effectively immediately. So after I received the sigils and the chant, I did a little ritual, and I connected with my Succubus familiar, and the effects were noticed effectively immediately. One of the effects I experienced was, oh my goodness, I felt incredibly aroused sexually. And it was not like, how to describe it? It wasn't overpowering, but it was like a slow, gradual, like a flame starting to ignite. It was definitely controllable. But in saying that, I have been practicing no-fap and semen retention for a very long time, and I believe in one of Demetrius's video playlists, he talks about semen retention and spiritual benefits of no-fap. Go check out that video. You can learn a lot from that. And it talks a lot about retaining your sexual energy and using that to transmute into the higher dimensions to help empower your magical rituals and also to reach elevated spiritual pursuits. So, another thing, my succubus also helped me transgress by allowing me to go through the processes that I needed to go through. They weren't easy. I paid a price for one of those, and that was an emotional energy which I haven't felt for years, and I didn't even think I had it in me, let alone know what it means to actually feel emotion. And through those releases, I could feel the energy that was escaping from myself, and my succubus actually absorbed it into her, and she recycled it, and in return she infused my chakras with her own energy, if that makes sense. It was almost like I felt empowered and so much renewed. So essentially, through all this release, it taxed my body, and therefore I had my Kundalini awakening a couple of days ago, and now I'm just starting to revitalize and revigor. And I noticed that my connection to my succubus, because it was just a clean-cut connection, it was purely for healing and for empowerment and for spiritual transgression, that the link between my succubus and myself, the relationship that we both developed, is unlike any other. Like I said, the succubus that was linked to me is non-vampiric, which is a rarity. Those spirit themselves are very ambiguous, and they don't always have to live up to their archetype, if that makes sense. She was more of a healing succubus, a one that helped me empower, to help me heal, and to help me recharge, and to help guard me while I needed to go through the processes of rejuvenation and healing. So, yeah, there's a saying, like attracts like, law of attraction. So if you treat yourself with respect, and you know that you want to heal, and you want to evolve, and you want to level up, then your spiritual familiar will mirror that. That's one little insight I thought I'd chuck in there, because I think it's very important to uplift and value the spiritual realm. You work as a team. You work in unison with each other. Energy for energy. So, Demetrius, I want to say thank you for your service. And I love my succubus. And guys, definitely give Demetrius a try. He is very flexible and very thorough. You will not be disappointed. He puts a lot of hard work and energy and effort, and he cuts through the BS. It gets straight to the point. So if you want to know BS and a fully effective ritual, make a request through Demetrius and he will deliver. Thanks again. Thanks for